So for my first week, I started with the time log, and I actually went through on Friday night and started working on some of the units, which some of the Google tools I've used before, so I was able to move through it a little bit quicker. I didn't put the application ideas on here yet because I was trying to figure out which ones I was going to put from the units that were covered. And then on Saturday, I did some more of the units where I was looking at the Google chat, creating the Google groups, Google forms, and Google sites. I actually created a Google site and a Google form for that particular site, which I'll go to that one first since that was on the list. So I created a event, which is actually a fake event. I just made this up. But it would be a first generation virtual seminar, and it's a one-day seminar for first generation students and their families to learn about preparing for college during a pandemic. Michelle Obama does a lot of first gen summits, so I have a video on here where she talks about being first, and then under here it says RSVP, and this is the Google form I created. So when they click on it, they'll go to the form where they would put in their email address, and then they would identify their role. So if they're a middle school student, high school, parent or guardian, a grandparent, sibling, aunt or uncle, and then who will be attending. So based on how they identify the role, then they'll go back and put who's attending and the areas that they're most interested in learning about. So this would help to guide the breakout sessions, and then how did they hear about it, and then any comments or questions. So just a short survey as a way for them to get more information and help me when I was preparing the actual event. And then down below, I have breakout session topics. So college preparation, paying for college, and then the college experience. So them getting an idea of the types of breakout sessions. The schedule, I started working on a mock schedule. So it's a Saturday event. There would be a kickoff with a speaker, getting to know you section, a breakout room 1 for 30 minutes, and then a debrief and a break, and then having them do some online engaging things. So just showing them what the actual schedule would be. And again, this is not a real event. I just created something so that I can use Google Sites. And then the other thing I did, since I'm at the end of the instructional design program, I've created a lot of videos. So I went into my YouTube account and organized the videos. And so in here I have different playlists. So I have an instructional design playlist, College 101, where I put videos related to college things students should know. And then I started just for fun doing this makeup tutorials, especially for like moms and quick tips and trying out new stuff to de-stress. So I just put everything in organized playlists. So those were the things with Google that I worked on this week. And I was able to, there's other videos I have on YouTube that I was able to make private to where they're not public, where everybody can see them. So that was something else that I was able to work on this week.
All right. So, hey, everyone. So I'm just going to go through a few things that I've went through while completing the certification. So the first thing I want to point out is my time log, which I'm still working on filling out. But as you can see, I have created a couple different resources and things like that. And still, even for these days, I've created them, but I just haven't filled it in yet. Go back. Okay. In the first unit, it talked a lot about like a classroom, Google Classroom, which I actually had never created one, but it gave me the idea to create a Google Classroom for the youth ministry at my church because I'm coordinator there. And so I kind of just created the classroom. I haven't put any assignments in it or topics yet, but I did create a banner using Canva, and I was able to figure out how to embed that here at the top there. Ooh. Oh my gosh, seriously. Okay. Next, I created a Google site for 6th grade science students. So this is a site that I've already had for a little bit, but I just added some elements that I learned from the Google certification thus far. But this is kind of like the outline of it or setup of the site, of the Google site. And I also added a Google form, and this is what's new. And it's just like a little warm up that students can do, like the first thing they do when they log in or walk into class is to complete a science warm up, and it's just a question that they can just submit. And it's embedded right into the website.
Okay, here we go. All right, so this week I'm working on my level 1 for Google certification. So I have my time log. I have all my tabs up here, so I'll just click through them here just to make it a little easier to go through. So for my first week, I started on Thursday. I spent about 3 hours, and on this side, I just have different ideas that I could use in my classroom with the tools that I was learning about. And then in the middle section, I have different links, which if you were to click the link, they will take you to this page. On this page, these were just some of the activities. They ask you to jot down your ideas or things like that. So I just put them all on one document with different links to them. So that way they are all in one spot for me to just easily go back and refer to. So those are just little notes that I have for myself throughout it all. So at each day, that's what I did. I went through, and as I was working through it, I was making notes in the middle. And then on the side, I was thinking of ways that I could actually apply it to my classroom, or ways that I did actually go through and create it on my own for my classroom. So one of the things that I created with Google Drawings, I actually haven't used Google Drawings before, and so I decided to make some graphic organizers for my students. I teach reading, so I wanted to make a main idea one, and then retelling this story. This is an area that we struggle with a lot, so I thought it'd be good to create a type of graphic organizer that they can actually use in the classroom. So I've actually printed these off and for my grade level and everything, so that is what we are using right now. Another thing that I created, if we go back to this slide, is my Google Forms. So I haven't really had to use Google Forms that much in my class, but this year, with everything starting to be virtual, I am using it a lot more. So I made this Google Forms page just as a replacement for a paper copy of a worksheet. So it was a verb practice, and here I made it to where it's a requirement, and you have to do a certain step before you can move on. So they have to insert their names, and I have a few different copies up here. So this is what they would be working through. I put it up into different sections, and I have it all where they're required, so the students can't skip a question. That way they can go through it all.
Now, because this is with my work computer, with that type of Google account that I have, I wasn't able to change the settings because they're really restricted. So I just copied my verb practice from what I was actually able to see on my end, but I can't share it publicly. So I just want to run through some of the things that I liked with it. I do like that I can see like their averages. So I can see like the average score that they're getting, and then I can see which ones were frequently missed. So that way I can go back and reteach all of that. So then I have all of their names and all of their other data all here for me to view whenever I do need to go through that. I also can make it into my own little Sheets document as well, which I like that because as teacher, we go through a lot of data, so it just is an easy way for us to collect that data and review it all. I also made a Google Sites page. So this is something that I've been working on before I started all of this, but I decided to start to embed more resources into it, such as I made some images that I could add. I tried to organize it just a little bit better. This page for them is just for them to go through and use as remediation or reinforcement, anything that they need. So they can just refer back to it for anything that they need. I also added some YouTube videos and buttons to help make shortcuts and make everything a little bit easier for them to get into. So this is what I've been working on so far this week. Tomorrow I'm hoping to take my certification exam so that way I can get that out of the way and start working on level 2.